Hey, it's a Sunday morning, and I wanted to show you some widgets for web apps that I've been making. So okay. So here's kind of an example of the different widgets I've got all inside of an app, and there's a certain look that I enjoy and tend to come back to again and again, and it's the idea that you've got a full screen web app, and it has a certain simplicity to it. Like, we're not going to make Excel with this. We're not going to make a Photoshop style interface. We know that there's a limit to the amount of functionality that's going to be displayed in the user interface. So some decisions are made around that. So for example, like, I like buttons that just say what they do right on them. I don't need a bunch of little icons because my apps that I'm going to make are generally not going to get complicated enough that we need to use every little bit of real estate to show like some kind of button or action or something like that. And so there's a table widget here I'm pretty proud of, and there's like this kind of big friendly font. That's another decision that I like. Again, it kind of goes with the idea that the apps are only going to get so complicated. You want them to be fairly simple, have a friendly look to them. And also there's like discoverability. Like, you're just going to come in and start using it and try to make sense of it instead of taking a class about it or learning how to get good at it over the course of months. So that's kind of the gist of it. Now I'll go over to the widget library, which supports this. And I'm reluctant to kind of pitch this as, oh, you should use my widget library. It's not like that. Like, I know there's like other stuff out there, like, Tailwind and material design, etc. It's more like I'm just maybe putting in your head, like, maybe you want to make your own widget library. It's been quite rewarding for me. I've come back to multiple projects. I just used my own widgets. I got them to be made exactly how I wanted to. And I think a lot of times the time I would have spent trying to understand how to use a widget in somebody else's library and maybe also do different updates around it is equal to, possibly less than, me just making it myself. So you might decide for yourself that, like, you want to have your own widget library, and I recommend it. Like, even if you do end up using like other libraries, it's kind of nice to have your own thing, and you just add to it as you go. There's a million checkboxes out there you could use, and mine's not really that much better than the other ones, but it is mine, and it does kind of fit the style I like to use in my apps, right? So there's a bunch of kind of generic ones. I'll kind of stay free of I'll stay clear of all the ones that are just a little too normal. Here's one I like a little bit. It's just an animation with 3 ellipses at the end. It's good for LLM-based text that's being generated a little bit at a time, where you can see something's happening with the text, and then you just, as tokens come in, more text is added. So it's a nice little thing to pop on to text that gets generated. Modal dialogues, I've got my own little set of modal dialogues here. There's some subtle behaviors you learn over time, like, okay, you can click cancel like any other one, but it's also kind of nice to click off of it and get it to go away. So stuff like that. The text input one, it's got validation in it. If I type numbers, I've got like a little function that says, no, you can't do numbers. If I type the word fail, there's a different type of validation, which will, instead of preventing you from typing something that would be invalid, it waits for you to type whatever you type, and then it tells you if there's a problem with it. So stuff like that. Numeric inputs, input ranges, sure. Okay, this one I'm kind of proud of. This one took a little bit of work. It took maybe like 3-4 days. And now it's like very reusable. The idea is you could import an SVG, and you can apply an effect over the top of it with CSS filters. These first 2 are pretty subtle. First 3 are pretty subtle, then they get a little more crazy. It's a nice thing when you want to just add a little life to an image, or a lot of life in some cases. anyways, I like that one, and it's based on this really neat hack of parsing through the SVG, and yeah, anyways, I'll stop with that. Let's keep going. A little loading box. Progress bar. I use this one a lot. Yeah, not too much to it. It's just kind of nice and simple looking. This pane here, it's like a building block that I like to use a lot, where you just say there's a certain topic or functionality group, and you put it inside of one pane, and then buttons that operate on that type of functionality are up in the top. And then there's this thing down here. I like to put like hints to the user on what they might want to do next. This one I spent a lot of time on, and I'm real proud of it. It's just a table view, and there's actually some things that seem like they'd be simple to do, but they're pretty hard. So for example, if you want to have these columns up here line up with everything underneath and also have scrolling, there's some tricky stuff that you have to do. I think it took me like a couple days to figure out how to do that. And I use like text measurement and JS layout fixes. Yeah, so this is a nice kind of general use table widget, and kind of proud of it. The award for the most difficult, let's see, the award for the most unexpectedly difficult implementation, the slider. The slider actually takes a lot of work. There's all these little subtle things to it to get right. There's things like, you know, if you're moving this around, you might want to, the calling code, you might want to know every little update, or you might want to wait until the user lets go. And so I had like 2 callbacks, one for, you know, as it gets updated, one for the final value. I'm still a little bit tormented by some of the things that are missing from this. So like I should be able to click here, or at least I feel I should, and have the slider thumb go all the way to it. The other one that kind of bugs me is if I leave the slider area, I'm no longer dragging. My mouse is still clicked down, but it's not dragging. So I'm gonna have to come back to the slider. This is a best example of why you don't want to make your own widgets, because sometimes you get in these little traps where the thing you're trying to do seems like it would be super simple, and guess what? It's not. And I still have work to do on the slider to make it like really nice. Okay, spinner, yeah, boring. Text console. This is another one that is not in every widget library. It's kind of nice to have your own. So like if you have like some text that just kind of gets added, like a console log or something like that, this will pop in like the extra lines at the bottom, and it will do the force scrolling thing, so that like suppose you were looking around up here and then a new piece of text came in. Well, if you were actively moving around inside of here, you don't want like the scroll to go all the way down to the bottom after you've moved it. But if you are at the bottom, if your state is at the bottom already and a new line comes in, then it will scroll down to it. So there's nice little refinements like that, which take a little time to see them all. Time picker, toast. Toasts are awesome, by the way. It's like I feel like I can't handle a project until I've got toast support in. So the thing about toasts that are good is that without changing your existing UI to handle a new message, you can just throw these other messages on top. It could be things like, oh, there was an error in your request, it didn't go through, right? So instead of having to put like an area of your screen where it's gonna be responsible for showing that message, you can just throw a toast in, and you can do it late, you know, you don't have to like think about how to integrate it later at the beginning. So I like toast a lot. Waiting ellipsis, yeah, it's just another, basically we already saw that with the generated text. And then this one, I can't use it on every project, but it sure is sweet when I am able to. It's just something that takes a bunch of audio samples and displays them, and it's got some ability to show different sections of the samples and zoom in and out. and I can put markers on it. When I was writing web apps that did audio analysis, this was excellent. It got me past a lot of debugging problems, because sometimes when you're looking at things just in text, when it comes to audio wave sample analysis, it's quite difficult to understand what's going on. So to be able to put little markers at different points in the audio signals and say, here's where this happens, or here's where I detected this thing, it's pretty important just during development. But also this is a good general purpose waveform visualizer for like a lot of different things. So yeah, it's a little tour of like a bunch of widgets I made over maybe 5 years or so. And there will be a link in the comments if you want to go to the GitHub repo and use my open source widgets. The library is quite friendly to just taking the widget that you want and not the whole friggin' thing. Not too much sweater thread in there. But yeah,